we were doing our class, and somebody came on
Very unholy stuff.
and was very deliberately, completely disrupting the class.
Are they gone?
They are for the time being. What I did is I signed off and signed back on again, and they haven't reappeared. But I'm wondering if you could camp on for a while and see if he comes back, and if he does, just mute him.
Well, I can kick him out and ban him. So
Okay, very good.
I'm going to sign in as you. So you're already got signed back in.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'll be on there in a second.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Thanks.
I find it sad that some people
Very.
get a feeling of self-importance by screwing up someone's
Yeah.
meeting. I mean, they get nothing out of it. I just don't get that.
agree with Ramadas.
Horrible.
It is a bizarre and pitiable frame of reference to live in. But all we can do is think he too is the divine being, just in a profound state of ignorance. So
Right, and we were talking yesterday, like we can't possibly understand such people. I mean, there's no way, they just boggle our minds. So you don't even try to understand.
Cindy used to have a teacher named J.C. Gazaway. And J.C. Gazaway was a great teacher, Native American heritage. And people would come to him and complain of some of his other disciples and tell stories about them and say, this is what they're saying and doing and so on and so forth. And what he would say is, well, this is a quote, this is a direct quote. Well, all that may be true, but we're just going to go on and love them anyway. And that's what will purify our hearts and our minds if we can take an attitude like that towards someone who does what this fellow did. We have to make sure that it can't continue, and that's why I've asked Cindy, and Cindy will camp on and make sure it doesn't happen.
Cindy, the name of the person is Emma Rios. That is the person. I found it at the last when we were cutting off. We didn't know how to block that person. That's what it is.
But it didn't seem to be a woman's voice.
No, but the name on that picture was on the side. It posted as Emma Rios. R-I-O-S. So just hopefully they won't come with different names. But I'm glad you're here.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for coming to our rescue.
Yes.
All right, let's move on.
Okay.
Spend the whole darn time.
Sure. Now, Shankara does not say unreal in the sense that something does not exist at all, such a barren woman having a son. But there are degrees of reality. Even a mirage has some reality as long as we see it, but when we come near, vanishes. A dream has a reality greater than a mirage, but when you wake up, the dream vanishes. Now again, this waking state has a reality, an empirical reality, but as soon as we enter into samadhi, the higher state, the universe disappears. But your consciousness, which is Atman, is unchangeable, continuing and always present. Without the presence of that pure consciousness, you would not be conscious of objects and things. Without that pure consciousness, there would not be the possibility even of dreaming. When you are in deep sleep and seemingly unconscious, there is still that pure consciousness, the self, Atman. It is present in every one of us. We are carrying God with us all the time. Just as you know a piece of gold, whatever shape or form it may have, the reality behind the names and forms is Brahman. But somehow we have forgotten through what Shankara calls avidya, maya, ignorance. Ignorance is beginningless, and he points out is simply a statement of fact. How it happened, why it happened, we do not know.
And therefore, we should not blame ourselves for being ignorant. It comes with the package. It is beginningless, and as we take manifestation, we wear it like a cloak, just like we wear the glory of our true eternal being. They coexist. It's duality. Anything else from anyone about that? All right, dear. Please read those lines again and then we'll go on.
Yes. Just as you know a piece of gold, whatever shape or form it may have, the reality behind names and forms is Brahman. But somehow we have forgotten through what Shankara calls avidya, maya, ignorance. Ignorance is beginningless, and he points out is simply a statement of fact. How it happened, why it happened, we do not know. Shankara says it is inexplicable, but it is the fact of everybody's experience. You think you cannot mistake light for darkness, but it happens. The Atman, the subject, and the object of experience, body, mind, possessions, have been identified with each other. We don't know how it happened, but it is the experience of everybody. Even the greatest intellects who know that they are separate from the body still identify with the body in all behavior. Shankara says that only by transcending the three states of waking, dreaming, and dreamless sleep can one awaken to the fourth and realize the truth. But we cannot realize this truth of Brahman by simply uttering the word Brahman. It doesn't happen. He says if there is a buried treasure and you say, treasure, come out, it doesn't come out. You have to take a shovel and dig. Then you get the treasure. Similarly, there are methods and means, spiritual disciplines, which we have to practice for this ignorance to break. But first, Shankara gives three conditions: human birth, the desire for the truth of God, and the grace of a guru. These three steps, which we first find in the Upanishads, Shankara brings out in the following passage. Start quotes. Then the disciple must hear the truth of the Atman and reflect upon it and meditate upon it constantly without pause for a long time. Thus the wise man reaches the highest state in which consciousness of subject and object is dissolved away and infinite unitary consciousness alone remains. He knows the bliss of nirvana while still living on earth. End quote. Shankara points out that as you meditate, you go beyond the three sheets, and the consciousness of subject and object is dissolved away. That is, in I know this. There is subject and object and the process of knowledge.
The three sheaths, for those of you who don't know what he means, there is the first three sheaths in which our awareness seems to be encased or traveling or going forward, are called the Annamaya Kosha, the food body, the one that says, I think I'll have some khichdi. The Pranamaya Kosha, the energy body, that says, I think I'll take some exercise so that I don't become a couch potato and too indolent. And then the Manomaya Kosha, the third sheath, the mind body. These three are the cooperative ones. This is what he means. So I'm going to ask Hyma to go back and reread that so that those of you who didn't know to what that refers, it's such an important idea, but unless we understand what he's referring to, it'll slip by us. So with those in mind, do you have any questions about these three sheaths or bodies that we exist seemingly within? Okay, please read those lines again.
Okay.
Sheaths.
First, Shankara gives three conditions: human birth, the desire for the truth of God, and the grace of a guru. These three steps, which we first find in the Upanishads, Shankara brings out in the following passage. Then the disciple must hear the truth of the Atman and reflect upon it and meditate upon it constantly without pause for a long time. Thus, the wise man reaches that highest state in which consciousness of subject and object is dissolved away and infinite unitary consciousness alone remains. He knows the bliss of nirvana while still living on earth. End quote. Shankara points out that as you meditate, you go beyond the three sheaths and the consciousness of subject and object is dissolved away. That is in I know this. There is subject and object and the process of knowledge. As long as there is the distinction between the subject and the object, you do not know the thing in itself. So to realize God is not for the eye to see God as an object, but for subject and object to be dissolved into infinite unitary consciousness. That is Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the transcendental consciousness. There are lower experiences and visions where there is a distinction, not a separation, but a distinction. You may have a vision of Christ or Krishna or Buddha, but that's not enough. Shankara, as well as the great teachers, points out that steadfastness in devotion is what is most important, whether or not you have any visions or experiences. And in order to attain that, he emphasizes meditation. He said, certain knowledge of the reality is gained only through meditation upon right teaching, and not by sacred ablutions or almsgiving, or by the practice of hundreds of breathing exercises. He also points out, sure, Brother Shankar, you want to comment anything?
No.
No, okay. He also points out that success depends upon the qualifications of the aspirant. He gives certain qualifications we have to acquire. As you try to understand what these qualifications are, you feel how impossible. In fact, one time when I was studying Shankara with Swami Saradananda, a knower of Brahman and disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, I asked, but if one has these qualifications, then practically speaking, he has attained that supreme knowledge. And he said, that is true. But you must struggle to gain these qualifications. Try to meditate, struggle. You may fail many times, but at long last, you attain the qualifications and you have the knowledge of Brahman. So I will give you the qualifications in summary. First is discrimination between eternal and non-eternal. That is to understand that Lord, God, Atman, Brahman alone is the unchangeable reality, that everything else today is and tomorrow is not. When you have this discrimination, you renounce the enjoyments of the effects of your actions here and hereafter. You do not even want heavenly pleasure and you do not want the effects that may come from good deeds. You offer all actions to God. Then again, you have to acquire the following virtues: tranquility, that is directing the mind from objective things, seeing imperfections in them, and turning it steadfastly towards Brahman instead. Then self-control, which is the power to withdraw the senses and keep them in their respective centers, and poise in the midst of the pairs of opposites of life. Poise is most important. In order to be able to gain that poise, you have to hold on to the pillar of God, as it were, by which you gain equilibrium. Then faith in the words of the scriptures and in the words of your teacher, without which you cannot proceed. You also have to have faith in yourself that you can attain it. Others have attained it, and so can I. Then self-surrender. That is to keep your mind and heart fixed in God as often as possible. And of course, lastly, mumukshutva, the desire for liberation. If there is a little desire, the intensity of longing grows through the practice of the disciplines and through the practice of meditation. To sum up, in the words of Shankara, faith, devotion, and constant union with God through prayer and meditation, these are declared by the sacred scriptures to be the direct means of liberation. To him who abides by them comes liberation from that bondage which has been forged by ignorance. End quotes, but I'll read this one more time. To sum up in the words of Shankara, faith, devotion, and constant union with God through prayer and meditation, these are declared by the sacred scriptures to be the direct means of liberation. To him who abides by them comes liberation from that bondage which has been forged by ignorance. You see, ignorance, which has covered our eyes, has no reality. It vanishes just like darkness. There may be darkness for thousands of years, but bring in the light once and the darkness immediately vanishes. In the same way, when direct experience comes, all ignorance vanishes immediately. Shankara describes the experience of an illumined soul in these beautiful words. In the quotes, the ego has disappeared. I have realized my identity with Brahman, and so all my desires have melted away. End quote. How can there be any more desire? In him, everything is fulfilled. I have risen above my ignorance and my knowledge of this seeming universe. What is this joy that I feel? Who shall measure it? I know nothing but joy, limitless, unbounded. This ocean of Brahman is full of nectar. The joy of the Atman, the treasure I have found, cannot be described in words. The mind cannot conceive of it. My mind fell like a hailstone into that vast expanse of Brahman's ocean. Touching one drop of it, I melted away and became one with Brahman. And now, though I return to human consciousness, I abide in the joy of the Atman. End quote. So my prayer for all of you is that you may realize while living on the earth that joy of the Atman. That is the end of Shankaracharya, Brother Shankara. What a load of information here.
Oh, yes.
Wonderful information. We read over and over in every scriptural book we have read so far.
Adi Shankaracharya was Swami
Yes.
Prabhavananda's very favorite.
Yes, he
Of all of the great philosopher teachers. I mean, beyond Sri Ramakrishna, of course. Sri Ramakrishna, of course, was his guru's guru, his immediate. There was an immediacy of his relationship with Sri Ramakrishna. But of those who had come before,
yeah,
we loved Christ and Krishna and Rama and all, Vashishta, all of them. Shankaracharya stood head and shoulders above all of them. And he was constantly thinking about and teaching about. So many of his classes and talks and so on, there would be references to these things said by Adi Shankaracharya. Very often the qualifications that Shankaracharya mentions. His summary of the qualifications was a very concise one, the Swami's. So he would occasionally expand on that, and that would be, whether he would say so or not, it would be the heart of a talk that he would give, is some qualification, like that one of tranquility or contentment. He would talk about those things, how to attain tranquility or contentment, santosha. So this is rich, as you say.
rich information. Yes.
And so it behooves any of us that want to understand fully what it is that both the Swami was driving at by producing all these talks and all his life's work to start with, and in particular his thoughts about Adi Shankaracharya. It's worth your time to go back and reread this. Anything else from anyone? How much time do we have left?
We have still 15 minutes. We're going to Ramanuja.
Okay.
Ramanujacharya.
Well, let's
See if any.
talk for a few moments
Sure.
about this subject of ignorance. Is there anyone who's unclear about the significance of this ignorance, how we come by it, and how to dispel it? Is there anything you'd like to discuss about your own experience with ignorance and what it's led to for you? Almost all of our missteps, almost all of our, they're not deliberate acts of willfulness. They are simply born of misunderstandings, which are born of our ignorance. We think we want something. We think something will be satisfying to us. So we pursue it. We spend our life's energy, our life's blood, so to speak, on pursuing something. And then when we achieve it, we find, oh my God, this really isn't satisfying at all as I thought it would be. It's like grasping a handful of sand, which slowly will slip away from your hand and leave your hand empty. So anything at all about your own experience and mm, your own way with the ignorance as it arises in your life.
I could say something for that, Brother Shankara. I don't know whether it's ignorant. I had the faith and devotion all my life since childhood, continuously, but I never meditated until last 5 years. I mean, I meditated in the last 20 years, but not as much as what I'm doing now, 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes in the evening. Study. If I miss one day, I'm like, I missed my food for the day. That's how I feel. I cannot miss it. No matter how many people in the house, if I have guests, grandchildren, I wake up very early because kids get up so early and that would disturb my peace. So I try to get up very early and do my 45 minutes and then I'll go on do my early in the morning and before bedtime, before I hit the sack. These
This is mumukshvatvam. This is the yearning expressing itself. How wonderful.
That is when, after doing these practices intense, then I really found that little transcendental. I went a step above from where I was before. I could see the bliss in myself, contentment. That's
And
that's it.
ignorance of the truth.
Ignorance was vanished, definitely.
Oh, yes.
No more ignorance. I know that works. But a lot of people, some of my friends, they say, how can I sit that long? They said this, that, but you have to have faith first. You have to be devotion. You have to be really believe in it, in your guru or whatever it is.
And
Script
you have to work
reading.
up to it.
Yeah, you have to believe with those two. Yes.
I'm going to sit for 45 minutes in the beginning.
If you don't believe and sit there,
then you sit for 10 minutes. Then you sit for 20 minutes.
That's how I started out, 5 to increments, and then I settled in 45, even I can do 1 hour, 2 hours. I'm thinking of doing 5-hour meditation one day,
You
5.5 hours.
be a little careful, dear, because you may find yourself in
Oh,
I mean this sincerely. You may
really?
find yourself in a situation where you no longer want to involve yourself with other people.
Oh,
And
really?
life is such that you need to continue to involve yourself with other people.
Yeah. I thought I would like to try that 5.5 hours in the Patanjali, get, really how to realize, we got a book, we remember How to Know God. That book has certain number of hours. I thought, ooh, it would be nice to try 5.5 hours one day.
Go right ahead. I've said my little warning.
Sit in quiet solitude.
It can become such that you turn color, so to speak.
Yeah.
No longer wish to reflect anything of the world. Anyhow, enough about
that. For that advice.
Anything else from anyone while we're paused?
Brother Shankara, I can talk about myself going back to couple of years. Now I am doing this spiritual journey for last 2.5 years. But prior to that, like I think I probably shared, I was more into the materialistic world. And then something happened which made me realize why I was doing that. So I started from the psychology to understand why I was doing that. And it was more like human doing. That's what I was. There is something lacking inside me. And I was, instead of being a human being, I was trying to achieve human doing. And without realizing, as you mentioned, that, everything which I achieved was impermanent. And that is exactly when I read Lord Buddha's teachings. That's what it said, everything is impermanent. You need to enjoy the journey rather than trying to focus on the destination, because really there is no destination. So that is where I started, and I realized ultimately, everything in this materialistic world is impermanent. And I'm not going to take anything from this except to try to remove those samskaras from myself. And like Hyma ji was saying, meditation has helped me a lot. I try to do 50 minutes to an hour in the morning, and that settles down my mind and tries to take me away from these materialistic things. So that has helped. And obviously, these sessions are definitely, these classes are great inspiration for me. Thank you for.
I'm so glad
You.
for all you said. And
Yes.
it's wonderful that you celebrate these classes and their usefulness to you, because of course that's why we're here. And the more you keep on, the wonderful thing about us is that we are infinite.
Yeah.
There is simply no limit, as was said in some of what Adi Shankaracharya said. There's no limit to the bliss. There's no limit to the joy. There's no limit to the availability of the truth to us. And so the more we open ourselves to it by our spiritual practices, the more we accept the invitation to turn our attention repeatedly and continuously, by continuously, I mean every day, in that direction, the more rewarding it becomes. So thank you for all you just said. That was beautiful. And I'm so glad that whatever it was that waked you up in that moment to pursue this inner direction, that happened. It's so much a case for so many of us. At some point, that dawns, and we begin to look beyond the worldly.
Those desires drop away as you meditate further and further, and they drop away like fall leaves, one, continuously. Then you feel that much anymore wanting. Of course, I had materials too, but I didn't have much money, thank God. In a way, it's good I didn't have money. If I had money, probably I would have been after materials more. So I didn't have much money. I went through so many disasters, but I came out fine. I'm here today. So many disasters, not just one. You name it, I was in it. From airplane, accident, house.
We're very, very sorry all that happened, and
But it just
glad that you don't need to rehearse it.
It just led me to the better path, Brother Shankara. Actually, it purified my heart. All those exploitations, all those adversities in my life helped to grow more.
Don't go back and think about them, dear.
Never. I feel like it helped.
There's no sense rehearsing them.
Not at all.
They simply yield nothing. You've learned all the lessons.
That's why I'm here today.
And you've profited by it. And
Yes.
you've moved way beyond. So
it benefited so much.
Never give them another thought.
Not at all.
Because then, this is now.
I'm here now.
And as Swami Swahananda used to say, with great emphasis, what's done is done. Go forward. Go forward.
Yes.
And so let us go forward. Anything else from anyone while we're paused? All right, dears, let's read a few minutes into. We have probably 10 minutes left?
No, not even 10, only like 4 minutes. Do you want to maybe we
what is it that we're about to start then?
Ramanuja.
Well, let's not do that then.
Yeah.
Let's just wait till next week.
Okay, sounds good.
4 minutes is enough. Anything else from anyone while we have this 4 minutes? Anything at all anyone would like to say?
Somebody.
Which page we are, please? Which page we are in the book?
Say it again, Maria.
The page that you're reading.
We are on page 179, finished Shankaracharya.
What is
179?
179.
the page that we are?
That's the page where we just finished.
Okay, thank you.
The reception is not so great, Maria. You're not clear to us.
Well, I was able to hear her.
Hear her better? Okay.
Okay, anything else from anyone? All right, then let's listen carefully to what's said by
Yes.
this closing prayer and take it to heart. It's one we say every night. Let's not let it become just something we do by habit, by rote. Let's take it to heart and pray not just for ourselves, but for one another, that this be a reality for us. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. Jai Shri Guru means salutations to the divine presence in all of its aspects. So Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. Why Durga? Durga is the one that's responsible. Each of the goddesses has their own responsibilities. Durga is on the feminine side, the one who's responsible for protection and support as we move through this phenomenal existence. So that's why it starts with those two salutations. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May we be saved. Oh, clapping. Why the clapping, Swami? I was asked. To get her attention, of course, Durga's attention. So Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai, Durga Durga Durga. May we be safe. Yes, may we each be safe. Safe from this dreadful world and its horrors. May we be healthy. Health, ill health undermines everything. Good health supports our ability to go forward. May we be cheerful. Cheerfulness is a sign of spiritual work. Those who are doing spiritual work, you'll find that they are more cheerful. You won't find a gloomy look on their face. You won't find them to be down. So may we be safe. May we be healthy. May we be cheerful. May we have peace of mind. Let us pray for one another that we have peace of mind, that our minds are not agitated by the things of the world, the inevitable unpleasantnesses and so on that come into our lives. So may we be safe, may we be healthy, may we be cheerful, may we have peace of mind. And may we go forward in the secure knowledge that we are in the loving and protective embrace of that divine being that is introduced to us in the opening prayer for these sessions as our mother and father. Though we may not always feel it, we are them and they are us. And so they have us in their secure and loving embrace. So may we go forward with that held in our hearts, that we are embraced by them, and every well wish is directed to us. Any comments or questions about any of that? All right, and it closes by just the simple statement. May we be well and in bright spirits. You know, the healthy and cheerful part, re-emphasized. May we be well and in bright spirits. So with that, we'll close. until Saturday. Thank you so very much for being with us. And it means a great deal for us to gather together and support one another in this way. And of course, Hyma is such a good reader. And we get so much out of what she reads.
Thank you, Brother Shankara. I
And
think you made me better reader, actually. You made me a better reader since these 5 years or 4 years I've been doing.
yes, well, the richness of what we're reading, since most of us don't have the text right in front of us, it takes a good reader to bring the words to life for us.
Thank you.
And that's why it's so delightful that we have Hyma, and then for our Saturdays, we have Jeff Salich, who's also very intelligent and brings a great deal of intelligence and character and heart to the reading, as does Hyma. So a sweet good night to all of you until Saturday.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good
Thanks.
night.